everyone, my name is Noraida El Maulana and I am the second reporter, and this is the continuation of the first reporter, which is about childhood days in Calamba, Laguna. Rizal's three uncles. There were three uncles, brothers of his mother, who played a great part in the early education of Rizal, and they were Gregorio, Jose, and Manuel Alberto Alonzo. After 1849, the family name was changed to Rialonda. Uncle Gregorio was a lover of books. He instilled in the mind of his precious Nupi, Jose, a great love for books. He taught him to work hard, to think for himself, and to observe life keenly. So, si Uncle Gregorio he was a lover of books. So, siya yung nag-encourage kay Rizal na maging book lover. Uncle Jose, who had been educated at Calcutta, India, was the youngest brother of Doña Chodora. He encouraged his Nupi to paint, sketch, and sculpture. So, si Uncle Jose naman ay nag-aral siya sa India and siya yung pinakabatang kapatid ni Doña Chodora. Siya naman yung nag-encourage kay Rizal na mag-paint, mag-sketch, and gumawa ng mga sculpture. Uncle Manuel was a big, strong, and husky man. He looked after the physical training of his sickly and weak Nupi. He encouraged young Rizal to learn swimming, fencing, and wrestling, and other sports so that in later years, Rizal's frail body acquired agility, endurance, and strength. So, si Uncle Manuel naman ay isa siyang big, strong, and husky man. Siya yung nag-train kay Rizal para magkaroon siya ng acquired agility and endurance and strength. Siya yung nag-encourage kay Rizal na matutong mag-swimming, mag-fencing, mag-wrestling at mga iba pang sports para in the future is magkaroon siya ng agility, endurance, and strength para sa kanyang body. Artistic talents. Since early childhood, Rizal revealed his God-given talents for the arts. He drew sketches and pictures on his books and on the books of his sisters, which for a reason he was scolded by his mother. He could carve figures of animals and persons out of wood. Even before he could learn how to read, he could already sketch pictures of birds, flowers, fruits, rivers, mountains, animals, and persons. So, sa murang edad, naipamalas na ni Rizal ang galing niya sa pag-sketch or sa arts. In such a young age, he could already sketch birds, flowers, mountains, rivers, or even a person. Bago pa man siya matutong magbasa, ay marunong na siyang mag-sketch ng mga bagay na iyon. It is said that one day, when Jose was a mere boy in Calamba, a religious banner which was always used during the fiesta was spoiled. To replace it, he painted in oil colors a new banner that delighted the town folks because it was better than the original one. So, since Rizal was a religious boy, he recreated the religious banners sa simbahan na ginagamit nila ito tuwing fiesta. Nirecreate niya ito at nilagyan ng bagong design at iba't ibang kulay na mas naging maganda pa kaysa sa original na ginagamit nila. Jose had the soul of a genius artist, rather an introvert child with a skinny physique and sad dark eyes. He found great joy looking at the blooming flowers, the ripening fruits, the dancing waves of the lake, and the milky clouds in the sky, and listening to the song of the birds and chirpings of the cicadas and the murmurings of the breezes. He loved to ride a spirited pony which his father bought for him, or take long walks in the meadows and lake shores with his big black dog named Usman. So, si Rizal daw ay isang genuine artist rather than to an introvert boy. Siya ay isang tahimik na lalaki kasi yun ang kinagisnan niya sa kanila. He really loved to ride on a spirited pony which his father bought for him. Mahilig siyang sumakay dun sa spirited pony na binili sa kanya nung tatay niya. Or naglalakad siya sa meadows, lake shores kasama yung malaki niyang aso na nagngangalang Usman. In his room, he kept many statues which he made out of clay and wax. At one time, his sisters teased him, "Ute, what are you doing with so many statues?" He replied, "Don't you know that people will erect monuments and statues in my honor in the future?" These are indeed prophetic words from the lips of a little boy. So, sa kanyang kwarto, may mga tinatago siyang statue na gawa sa clay and wax. Then, one time, tinawag siya ng kanyang mga sisters and tinanong siya kung ano yung ginagawa niya. Then, he replied, "Don't you know that people will erect monuments and statues in my room in the future? Aside from painting, sketching, sculpture, and wood carving, Jose had a gift for magic. His nimble fingers and supple wheels could perform many tricks which dazzled the eyes of the onlookers. He entertained the Calamba folks and his friends in school with his clever sleights of hand and magic lanterns." So, bukod pala sa talents niya sa arts, is meron din pala siyang tinatagong talent sa magics. Rizal had been interested in magics. He also learned a lot of various tricks. He also entertained his folk towns with lantern and puppet shows. Sa ipinamalas niyang mga magic tricks ay lalong napabilib ang mga tao sa kanila, lalong-lalo na ang mga kanyang kaklas. Prodigy of the pen. Not only was a little Jose skilled in brush, chisel, and pen knife, but also in pen. He was a born poet. His mother encouraged him to write poetry at the early age. When children usually begins to learn their ABC, he was already writing poems. So, si Rizal daw ay maaga ding natutong magsulat ng poet. Ang mother niya ang nag-encourage sa kanya magsulat ng mga poetry at the early age, habang ang ibang mga bata ay natututo pa lang sa kanilang pagbabasa ng mga ABC or alphabet. Si Rizal naman ay marunong nang magsulat ng mga poems. First poem. The first known poem that he wrote was a Tagalog poem that entitled Sa Aking Mga Kabata, or To My Fellow Children. He wrote it in an appeal to our people to love our national language. So, sinulat ito ni Rizal para ipahiwatig sa ating mga kabata or youth na maging proud tayo kung ano man tayo. He wrote it to encourage us for being proud of who we are. And the first step to do that is to use our mother tongue or our native language in communicating or speaking. Rizal must have been written other poems than the one mentioned above during his early boyhood in Calamba. Unfortunately, such other poems have been lost to posterity. They might have been scribbled on notebooks or lost sheets of paper. Rizal himself related that he wrote poems when he was a little boy, and his mother, who knew versification, corrected them for him. Before he was 8 years old, he wrote a Tagalog drama. This drama was staged in Calamba in connection with the town fiesta. It so happened that the Gobernador Silio, municipal mayor of Paete, a town in Laguna famous for delicious lanzones, witnessed the play and favorably impressed. He bought the manuscript from a little Jose for 2 pesos and had it staged during the fiesta celebration in Paete. So, before daw mag 8 years old, si Rizal ay nakasulat na siya or nakagawa na siya ng Tagalog drama, which is staged in Calamba, town of Fiesta. So, nung ginagawa nila ito or piniplay nila ito is nagkataon naman na nandun yung gobernador ng Paete, which is si Gobernador Silio. Napanood niya ito at na-impress siya at nagustuhan niya ang play na ito at binili niya ang manuscript kay Jose Rizal ng 2 pesos at ipinalabas niya din ito nung fiesta sa Paete, nung celebration nila ng fiesta sa Paete. 2 pesos at that time was quite a big sum for a boy who less than 8 years old. Such amount then was equivalent of 1/2 month's earning of a common laborer. Jose, of course, did not need that money because his well-to-do parents could easily give him so much more than that. But it was the first money he earned in his life by means of his pen. Evidently, he was inspired to develop his literary talent. So, sa panahon daw noon na yon is 2 pesos is malaking halaga na para sa katulad ni Jose Rizal na who is less than 8 years old. Sa ganung kalaking halagang pera is kinikita yon ng 1/2 month ng earning na isang laborer. Hindi naman kailangan ni Jose Rizal yung pera dahil kaya naman itong ibigay sa kanya ng kanyang mga magulang o ng higit pa doon. Ngunit yun ang first na kita niya sa pamamagitan ng kanyang pen or sa kanyang talent bilang isang manunulat. So, dahil doon ay na-inspired po siya lalo na i-develop ang kanyang talent. Lakeshore Reveries. During the twilight hours of summertime, Rizal, accompanied by his pet dog, used to meditate at the shore of Laguna de Bay on the sad conditions of his oppressed people. Years later, he related, I spent many hours of my childhood down on the shore of the lake Laguna de Bay. I was thinking of what was behind. I was dreaming of what might be over on the other side of the waves. Almost every day in our town, we saw the Guardia Civil, Lieutenant Canning, and during some unarmed and inoffensive villagers. The villagers' only fault was that while at a distance he had not taken off his hat and made his bow. The alcalde treated the poor villagers in the same way whenever he visited us. We saw no restraint put upon brutally. Acts of violence and other excesses were committed daily. I asked myself if in the middle land which lay across the lake the people lived in this same way. I wondered if there were tortured any countrymen with hard and cruel whips merely on suspicion. Did they respect the home? Or over yonder also, in order to live peace, would one have the bribe tyrants? Young that he was grieved deeply over the unhappy situation of his beloved fatherland. The Spanish misdeeds awakened in his boyish heart a great determination to fight tyranny. When he became a man, many years later, he wrote to his friend, Professor Blumentritt, in a view of these injustices and cruelties. Although yet a child, my imagination was awakened, and I made a vow, dedicating myself some day to avenge the many victims. With this idea in my mind, I studied, and this is seen in all way my writings. Someday, God will give me opportunity to fulfill my promise. Influences on Hero's boyhood. On the night Jose Rizal was born, other children were born in Calamba, and hundreds of other children were also born all over the Philippines. But why is it that out of all these children, only one boy, Jose Rizal, rose to fame and greatness? In lives of men, there are influences which cause some to be great and others not. And in case of Rizal, he had all the unfavorable influences. And these influences are the following. So the first one is hereditary influence. According to biological science, there are inherent traits or qualities which a person inherits from his ancestor and parents. So from his Malayan ancestors, he inherited his love for freedom, desire to travel, and his courage. And from his Chinese ancestors, he derived his serious nature, frugality, patience, and love for children. While in his Spanish ancestors, he got his elegance of bearing, sensitivity to insult, and gallarity to ladies. And from his father, he inherited profound sense of self-respect, love for work, and habit of independent thinking. And from his mother, he inherited the religious nature, self-sacrifice, passion of hearts, and literatures. So the second influence are environmental influence. According to psychologists, environmental as well as heredity affects the nature of a person. Rizal's family stimulated the inborn artistic and literary talents. The religious atmosphere of his home fortified his religious nature. From his brother, Pasiano, he taught the mind to be love for freedom and justice. From his sisters, he learned to be courteous and kind to all women. And also, the fairy tales told by his ayah or the nursemaid awake his interest in folklore and legends. And others, such as the Spanish abuses, the cruelness, the imprisonment of his mother, the death of Concha, the unjust torture of innocent people, and the execution of Gamburza awakened his spirit of patriotism and inspired him to be concentrate his life and talents to gain freedom that we want. The third one and the last one is aid of divine providence. Greater than heredity and environment in the fate of a man is the aid of divine providence. So the aid of divine providence is this means there are good things for good that God given us, especially our talents and skills. If a person may have everything in life like the brain, wealth, power, but without the aid of divine providence, he or we cannot attain greatness in the nation. So God endowed give Rizal the versatile gift of a genius, the vibrant spirit of a nationalist, of a brilliant heart to sacrifice a renoble cause.